What's something weird, funny, embarrassing you've done on autopilot? Started unbuttoning and unzipping my trousers while I walked towards the toilet. Just like I do at home because I'm efficient like that. Not sure if this counts as autopilot, but I was about 14 at school. And we had this classmate who had Down syndrome. He kept saying suck my dick and a bunch of us couldn't help but laugh. When time came for our teacher to do the register, she called out my name. Instead of saying here, Miss, I said suck my, but managed to stop myself by slapping my hand over my mouth. People started laughing and our teacher couldn't quite make out what I said, wondering why everyone was laughing. One girl saved my ass by telling the teacher that I accidentally said here, Mum, instead of here, Miss. TLDR. Classmate keeps saying suck my dick. So I nearly told my teacher to suck my dick. Girl saves my ass. Was in college working full-time nights as a security guard and full-time class. Stopped at a red light. Pushed my garage door opener and drove through. Luckily there were no cars around. Put my Bluetooth headphones in the freezer to charge. Wanted to go to work with the car, but forgot to turn the engine on. I stood there for 10 minutes trying to figure it out. A neighbor even came to help me and didn't see the problem. My dog's favorite part of the day is dinner time. I pull out her food. She starts swagging and doing the tippy taps. Get a scoop of food. And instead of going to her bowl, I dump the full scoop into the trash can. She then just looked at me with the saddest eyes and I felt terrible. So she got a little bit extra food and some pets. I used to work at the airport and got used to yelling the word next please a lot. One week, I was working really long shifts and was pretty tired. I decided to stop at McDonald's on my way home from work and went through the drive-thru. When I stopped to tell them my order, I yelled next please into the speaker. Woke up. Automatically got out of bed. Got dressed. Brushed my teeth. Packed up my backpack. Headed out of my dorm. Happened to glance at the clock in the lounge. It was 1:30 am. I once tried to zoom in on a paper when I wanted to fix a tiny detail in my drawing. I was very tired, mind you. But that was still sort of funny to me because I did it like 4 to 5 times before realizing, wait, this isn't my phone. Go to check the mail. Grab the keys. Oh yeah. There is garbage recycling that needs to go out. I stop at mailbox. I get mail. Throw away the garbage. Throw away the mail. Throw away my keys. Neighbor asks if I am going to need those. I just kind of stop. Look around a bit and say, well, yeah. I'm an ex-bus driver and many times on my way home from work, I would go to pull into a bus stop in my car, saying goodbye to my aunt at her husband's funeral, and accidentally said yeah, it was fun. When she said thanks for coming. Put my phone under a faucet to fill up my water bottle. I recognized my mistake. I was feeling an encroaching sickness coming upon me one time. So I decided to be proactive and make myself a couple of days worth of the most baller chicken soup I could manage in advance. So I'd be able to eat well even when I was dying of the lurgy. I chopped the carrots. I sorted the onions. I stewed the chicken bones. And I cooked that motherfucker down for 8 hours into the most delicious stock you could imagine. Then I poured it all through a colander into the sink. The pipe underneath my sink was broken, so I put a bucket below it to catch the water leaking out. When it was full, I poured it back in the sink and proceeded to flood my kitchen. Put my cat in the kitchen drawer. I stepped on a Cheeto and apologized to it. One morning I was sick and stayed home from work. My wife was being really awesome and served me breakfast. Trying to show her how thankful I was, I said, "Thanks, Mom." We both just stared at each other for a second, then burst out laughing. I used to work on a farm and we always took our boots off before entering the homestead for meal breaks. One afternoon I absent-mindedly unbuttoned my jeans and started to take them off instead of my boots. I guess my brain decided I was done for the day. Have a good day, sir. Love you too. Awkward shuffle out of Panera. I was getting out of my car and went to take a sip of my iced coffee. Unfortunately, I put the end of my car key in my mouth instead. Was taking my belt off at Batsa and then pulled down my pants. Got to my ankles and was like, nope. Back up. Always running to catch the subway after waiting at the crosswalk in front of the station. Casually walking with my friend in the same area yesterday. Started running when the cross sign lit up. He was like, WTF. Pavlov's commute. I made dinner. It was some exotic chicken and rice. Wanted a drink. Poured orange juice in my chicken and rice. Tasted great though. Started to trim my beard and didn't see the guard was off. Huge swath of beard gone in one swipe. The kids still refer to me during the beardless months as creepy daddy and I am not allowed to shave it off again. I was sitting in math class one day. And I was just humming to myself while the teacher explained something at the board. She went to turn off the projector. Which is next to my desk. N. Still standing next to me. She gives me this weird look and asks. Is something wrong? I had been so deep in thought that I had lost the tune but kept humming. So I was now just humming along. Low HMMMMMMMM without any change in pitch. So yeah. That was embarrassing. Went to the doctor's office. Took off my jumper for a flu shot. Realized my t-shirt was on inside out. Got home. Took off my t-shirt. Realized my bra was inside out. Sigh. Went to the bedroom. Took off my bra. Realized my boobs were inside out. I work with preschoolers and we sing songs to help them wash their hands. And I started singing the same song when I went out with some friends to a bar. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Friend. Edit 2. The song goes wash. Wash. Wash your hands. Wash them every day. Scrub. Scrub. Scrub the germs and wash them down the drain. To the tune of Row Your Boat. I had recently been attending a lot of marital arts classes at night. One morning at work I accidentally bowed at my boss when I entered his office. This was in the US. Neither of us are of Asian descent. And yes, he noticed. It was awkward. I tried putting the milk bottle back in the microwave then got mad when it didn't fit. I only stopped trying cause my brother was there watching and he started laughing. I used to work in a factory. Starting at 6 AM. So I'd have to get out of bed around 5:15 each morning. There was one morning when I got up. Had my breakfast and left as usual. Drove round the corner to the garage where I would buy my lunch. It seemed a lot quieter than usual. But being half asleep myself, it only half registered. Then I got back in my car and noticed the time. I was awake 3 hours early. FML. I drove home from Phoenix to Prescott. Forgetting the fact that I had moved to Flagstaff about a month prior. Got all the way to my old driveway before realizing my error. Both Prescott and Flagstaff are north of Phoenix. But are about 1.75 hours apart from each other. On the railroad, you can get verbal permission to pass a red signal or flag. Either from the dispatcher or the employee who placed the red flag. You cannot under any circumstances pass a blue light or flag. Because that protects employees working on under between rolling stock beyond the blue signal. Driving home in the car late one night, I decided to take a shortcut through the local university. I go around a corner and see a blue light marking a police call station. Immediate conclusion. Shit. Can't go that way. I've worked as a caregiver for adults with mental and physical disabilities for more than a decade now. I'm a caregiver. I do basic cares, which include helping many adult men do their daily activities. Things like shaving, buttoning shirts, making sure belts are on correctly, So on and so forth. Once on a date, I was a bit buzzed. I fixed my date's shirt and told him he needed to look in the mirror and see if he wanted a shave. Washed an apple at the sink, dried it with a paper towel, turned and tossed the apple in the trash and stood there holding the towel like an idiot. Sometimes in the shower I fill my mouth up with water and just kind of let it pour out. Was brushing my teeth standing in the bathroom one day, fully dressed before work. I just let the toothpaste pour slowly out of my mouth and onto my clothes as if I were in the shower. Now every time I brush my teeth my boyfriend warns me not to spit all over myself. I always take my shirt off after my shoes when I get undressed. So there I was at around 4:30 in the morning headed through security to fly across country for a festival. I'm nowhere close to awake and I'm totally running on autopilot. I'm throwing my stuff on the conveyor. I take my shoes off. And I started to take my shirt off and the FFSY was she attractive. So lady was like, slow down sir, we just met. I didn't know they came with a sense of humor. My wife's friend and her husband were leaving after having dinner at our house. As they're leaving, she says love you to my wife. Naturally, I respond love you T. Ooh, yeah. Good night. I will sometimes intentionally end phone calls with my friends with an I love you because they almost always say it back automatically. They get mad after and I laugh hysterically and hang up. Just today I went to the grocery store, packed everything into my backpack at self-checkout and went home. As soon as I got home I remembered I never actually paid. Edit. To all those asking if I went back and paid. I did. As soon as I noticed, I went back, swiped my card in the self-checkout and got it over with. Nobody had even noticed. The store is about 300 meters from my apartment complex. For clarification as to how I got away with it, the self-checkout works by swiping your personal discount card, then grabbing a scanner that lights up. You scan all your items before putting them into your cart basket. When you're done, you put the scanner back. Then go to one of the self-checkout registers. Swipe your discount card again to create a bill to pay. Then pay it using your debit card. I did everything except swipe my card and pay, since I usually do all this before packing everything. Yesterday I was worried if they'd fit, so I wanted to find out first. Put them all into my backpack and then went my merry way without a second thought. I lived in the same house for 16 years. Moved out. Years later I did some summer work as a construction worker on my old house. First day I walked in, mindlessly did what I always did when I came in. Waltzed into the kitchen during the family's breakfast. Opened the fridge and peered inside for a long while looking for something to eat. I came to myself, dude, I don't live here anymore. Looked up, and the family was all staring at me from the breakfast table. Forks in midair. At this unknown construction worker making himself right at home. I was so embarrassed I backed out, stammering the whole time and trying to have them understand I'm so sorry, I used to live here. My wife says she once ate pizza at a friend's house and, out of habit, threw the crust on the floor for the dog. Those friends didn't have a dog. I have 2 kids and I'm in the habit of pointing out things I think they'll like. Rainbows. The moon. Nice dogs. But one day in work I turned to a young male childless colleague and said, oh look over there. A cat was signing for a parcel on one of those electronic things delivery drivers use. Go to the cinema to watch Quantum of Solace. Walk in 5 minutes late. Furious car chase on screen. Instinctively try to find my seatbelt. I was tired at the time, but sat down on the toilet thinking that the seat was up and just pissed all over the seat, floor and myself. Not a great thing to do. I placed my cell phone in the fridge and left the milk out after making myself some cereal. Stood in front of my work locker. Pulled out my car key fob. I work as a housekeeper and when we knock on a door we yell housekeeping and when we throw laundry down the chute we yell heads. so those below watch their heads. Anyway, one day I knocked on a door and loudly yelled heads. Later that day the back of my mind remembered my mistake and made sure to correct it, but I overcorrected and stupidly yelled housekeeping down the laundry chute. I was looking all over for my keys and finally thought that I might have left them in the car. I went outside and my car was locked. So I pulled my keys out of my pocket, unlocked the door, opened the door and realized how much of an idiot I am. I said no babes you're wrong to my boss at a management meeting 2 weeks ago because I was daydreaming about my boyfriend. Kill me now. Edit. I said this to a comment he made. Kind of like hearing and seeing one person, but thinking about another. I hope this makes sense. Not sure how to explain. It didn't go unnoticed. It was slow and painful. I tried to save it along the lines of didn't want you to hit reality all that hard, so I'll let you down nice and slowly. I then looked at everyone else and basically said it is really just a question of time until I call you all babes BTW. Awkward to the maximum. But thank you all. Here you go. If you need anything else, just let me know. Comma. As I graciously put down the plate with food I cooked for the only person in the room. Me. Took my newborn kid to the grocery store with my wife. I had a buggy with the baby. She had the buggy with the groceries. I had been rocking the buggy back and forth to soothe the kid since he was getting antsy. My wife and I traded buggies. So she had the baby. I had the groceries. Cue me rocking the buggy with groceries in the cereal aisle. Knocked on an open door for the bathroom. Making cookies. I cracked an egg and dumped the contents into the garbage. I was late to my first day of work. Autopilot me chose to go to my previous employer of 15 years where I had quit. I realized about 5 minutes before getting there and had to drive about 25 minutes back in the direction I came from. Old job was about 30 minutes depending on traffic. New job was about 5. Same industry. New co-workers just laughed it off. 15 years of the same commute. Same truck. Same tools. Just another Monday on autopilot. Dipped a knife in a cup and tried to drink out of a jam jar. Family member or friend calls me. Thank you for calling. Call center job. My name is Dandy Lou. To better assist you, may I please have your membership number? I was getting my car out of the parking lot, heading back home after a long day. Shortly after I started driving, I passed by a car that is identical to mine and thought cool. I found the car, I got out of the car to go to the other car. Halfway through I noticed that WTF I am doing. Looked around hoping to God that no one saw me, and then went back on my merry way. When I arrive at work, I subconsciously look for my friends' cars, so I know who's already there. One day, I saw the same car as mine and thought, I'm here as well. Edit. Silver for an existential crisis. Yay. Thanks. I kissed my wife's best friend. It was totally innocent and something we laughed about. I had to take a bus to work every day at about 4 AM. My wife usually drove me to the stop so that I didn't have to leave my car there for 14 hours. My wife's friend was staying with us while she looked for a job and house in the area. She was getting up early anyways, so she decided she would take me and let my wife sleep. When we got to the stop, I just instinctively leaned over and kissed her goodbye. She had a dumbfounded look on her face, and mine instantly turned red as I realized what I'd done. I just said sorry. It was a habit. My wife poked fun at me for days for putting the moves on her friend. I was working the back line at an Arby's way back in the day. We used to get our sub buns foot long, but all the subs we sold were 6-inch. I literally reached into the bag, grabbed a sub roll, cut it in half, and then put the knife back in the bag and tried to cut another sandwich with the sub bun. My manager saw it and died. I was lying naked on top of my high school girlfriend and we were smooching, and I pulled back to ask if it bothered her that I was naked. Instead, I said, "Does it bother you that I'm gay?" Put the cardboard circle that comes with your frozen pizza into the oven and the actual pizza in the trash can. Ended a phone call with my boss. Love you babe. Edit. Boss was a she. And to be honest, she was pretty damn cute in a slightly goofy way. I've called my boss dad before. He just stopped and said he'd rather not be called that. But at least he laughed. As a teenager, I worked at McDonald's. My McDonald's was 24 hours and during the summer, I worked the overnight shift. My sleep schedule would get all messed up. My parents woke me up for dinner one evening. I zombie walked to the table and sat down. My dad asked me to say grace. I bow my head and say, "Thank you for choosing McDonald's. May I take your order?"